Hello everyone, welcome to ABC Interactive English. I'm Mike.
And I'm Sam.
And today we are going to be beginning our 3-day story unit. And our story for you guys this month is titled Our Lady's Child. Who's lady? Our lady? Your lady?
I don't think I have a lady.
Their lady? Whose lady? It's our lady's child. We don't know much about the story. That much is true. But we do know who wrote this story. It comes from the famous Brothers Grimm.
Yes, so those are Jacob. Well, I guess if you want to pronounce it in the German way.
Oh, that's right. They were
Jacob.
German. Jacob.
Yes,
and
Wilhelm.
Wilhelm Grimm.
But we, American, we might pronounce it Jacob and Wilhelm.
That's right.
Wilhelm. And they are the two brothers from Germany who actually wrote many, many, many folklores and folk tales and all this kind of stuff. And they traveled around and they figured out different folklores and wrote them down, and that's where a lot of our stories come from.
Absolutely. Some stories you might have heard about. Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Rapunzel, Rumpelstiltskin, and my personal favorite, Hansel and Gretel.
Ah, yes.
These guys wrote all of those stories and probably like 1,000 more.
Yes, and if you haven't heard of them, you might have heard of the Disney version of them. So Disney definitely heard of the Brothers Grimm and took some of these stories and created a lot of famous movies.
Absolutely. The story has been popular for hundreds and hundreds of years, and the reason we know a lot of them is because of the Grimm brothers, or the Brothers Grimm, as we often call them. But since there are so many, there are a few that we're not so sure about or don't know so much about, like the story we have for you guys this time, Our Lady's Child. Let's check it out. One day, the Virgin Mary appeared to a woodcutter in the forest. She said,
"You are poor and needy. Bring me your little girl, and I will care for her."
Okay, so let's go ahead and get into our story, Our Lady's Child, Part 1, and this is the very beginning. So it goes, one day, the Virgin Mary appeared to a woodcutter in the forest.
Isn't it supposed to begin once upon a time?
Oh no, this time just one day.
All right, well, you could say once upon a time. So that's how the story begins, and the Virgin Mary appears to a woodcutter in the forest. This is not a typical day for the woodcutter, I'm guessing.
He was probably quite shocked.
Probably, and probably amazed and awed as well, because the Virgin Mary is Jesus's mother, right? From the Christmas story, you know, Mary and Joseph had the little baby Jesus, and of course, she's been very important for Christians ever since that time. So this is sort of like a ghost or a saint or some kind of holy vision appearing.
Probably lots of light in the background.
Lots of light and feeling, this religious power over the woodcutter when he's just trying to have a normal day cutting wood in the forest, because that is what a woodcutter does. A woodcutter cuts wood. Pretty amazing, right?
How much wood would a woodcutter cut if a woodcutter?
Yeah. Good question and a good rhyme, but we also, how much wood would a woodcutter cut if he sees Jesus's mother?
Probably not much.
No,
He's
not much.
Probably gonna be done.
Absolutely. We might also call a woodcutter, especially in North America, a lumberjack.
Yes.
Lumberjack. Nowadays, they go out with power tools and they use machines. Back in the day, it'd be a big, strong guy with an axe. He would cut down trees so people could burn the wood or make things from the wood. And if you're a woodcutter or a lumberjack, you don't work in an office, no. You work in the forest.
Yes, so if you have this kind of job and you're going to be out in the forest a lot, and a forest is a place where there are a lot of trees. And so usually the trees are probably pretty close together, so it's a little bit different than, say, a park, because a park might have just a few trees versus a forest where there are a lot of trees. And so a sentence that we might have for this word forest is, I like to go camping in the forest.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can see lots of birds. Bird watchers love the forest. Another expression or another way of saying this type of area we might see as the woods. We could say the woodcutter is in the woods, a place with lots of trees all around, and it's not a park or a field, it's a woods or a forest. All right, so what did the Virgin Mary say after she appeared in front of the woodcutter? She said, "You are poor and needy." That's not a very nice thing to say to someone.
Yeah.
You have no money and you have no good life. Well, maybe it's true, but come on, you don't have to be so
point it out
clear about it. That's right. You have a terrible job and no money. Anyway, so she kind of knows that this woodcutter has a hard, difficult life. I think she's going to try to help him. Let's hope.
Hope so.
But she goes on to say, "Bring me your little girl, and I will care for her." Okay, so Jesus' mother is offering to be your babysitter.
Yeah, I think if there was one person you could trust, it would probably be Jesus' mother.
Good point.
Yeah, and so our woodcutter, he's poor and needy. Needy meaning you don't have a lot of the things that you need. And so you are lacking in maybe money and food and maybe shelter, place to live, warm clothes, all this kind of stuff. And so he has this daughter and he's maybe worried about taking care of her. And so luckily the Virgin Mary comes to him and says, "Hey, I could watch her for you and make sure she gets everything she needs." And he's like,
that sounds like not a
do?
bad deal. But of course, this is a fairy tale, so it's not going to be that simple. You guys probably guessed that right now. So let's take our break and then we'll come back and see just what happens with the Virgin Mary playing as a babysitter.
Yes.
The woodcutter obeyed, and the Virgin Mary took the child to heaven. The girl lived a good life and grew strong. When she turned 14, the Virgin Mary called for her. She told the girl,
"I'll be away for a while. You'll be responsible for these keys to the 13 doors of heaven. You can open all except the 13th door."
All right, so a woodcutter out there in the forest just cutting trees one day. The Virgin Mary suddenly appears. This woodcutter is poor and needy. He needs some help in his life. The Virgin Mary had offered to take care of his daughter. That sounds kind of nice. So let's see what happens. It says the woodcutter obeyed. So he did what the Virgin Mary asked. The woodcutter obeyed, and the Virgin Mary took the child to heaven?
Yeah.
Whoa, I thought she might take the child to the swimming pool or the library or to get some ice cream.
Well,
she took the child. When you take a child to heaven, isn't that like the child dying?
I think in this story, it's not supposed to go quite that far.
Okay, it is a fairy tale.
Yeah, I'm thinking that, we're going to probably see this child again, so I don't think it's quite to that level. So I think the Virgin Mary is just taking her to a place where everything is wonderful and she has everything she needs, and
I like
that kind of to heaven.
Yeah, all right, I like that idea better.
Yeah, so in this sentence we have the word obey. Obey means to follow some order that somebody gives. So if someone tells you to do something, then you would obey. Okay, and so an example sentence for this might be, the dog obeyed the master's command and brought his slippers to him.
Oh, okay. Or of course, if you're in the army, you'd have to obey the captain or the officer. And school kids, they have to kind of obey their teachers and parents and stuff like that.
And then the teachers have to obey the principal.
That's true, their boss.
So we've got this word comes up quite often. Okay, so let's continue on with our story. The girl lived a good life and grew strong.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so when she turned 14, the Virgin Mary called for her.
Oh, okay.
So she's still living.
She's still living up there in heaven, having a good childhood, maybe having more than she would have had down on the earth with her poor father.
Yes.
So this is all good, and she grows up to be a young woman of 14. When she turned 14, the Virgin Mary called for her. So basically said, "Come here, child. I want to talk to you." At this point,
what about?
That's right. At this point, she's grown up, she's 14, and she was also described as being strong. So, she's been eating her fruit and vegetables, drinking her heavenly milk up there in heaven. She's grown up to be a healthy, strong, kid with a good physical fitness, probably went to school, did all her tests, played all her sports. She's growing up to be in a good way. And then at this point, the Virgin Mary is speaking. She told the girl, I'll be away for a while. You'll be responsible for these keys to the 13 doors of heaven. All right, this is kind of interesting, but I guess if we think about a normal child around the age of 14, your parents might kind of say, okay, you're old enough, we'll let you, stay home at night by yourself or take care of your younger brother and sister. At that age, maybe some kids are ready to be responsible. That means you're kind of in charge. All of the, everything kind of relies on you. We expect you to do the right thing. In this case, she's not being responsible for doing her homework herself or taking care of her brother and sister. She's responsible for some keys to the 13 doors of heaven.
Yes, that kind of seems like a very big responsibility, even at 14, where you feel pretty grown up, but these are the doors to heaven.
If you were 14 and your dad said, well, you go and take care of the bank, I'll be on holiday. You're like, oh, that's a big job. I'm not sure I can be that responsible. But I guess Virgin Mary thinks she's ready.
Yes, and the Virgin Mary says, you can open all except the 13th door.
Oh, so she has the keys. She's allowed to open the doors, but not that 13th door.
Yes.
Don't touch that one. That's the one you should definitely never, ever open.
Yes, so she has very specific instructions on how to handle this responsibility of these keys.
She's going to open the 13th door.
Oh, you can't tell a kid not to do something, especially in a story. You know they're going to do it.
I don't like this. Okay, all right.
So in this section, we have the vocabulary word responsible. So this is an adjective that means to be in charge of something. And so this is your job, this is your responsibility. And so as we saw, she is responsible for the 13 keys.
Yeah.
And part of her responsibility is to not open the 13th door.
That's right. If you're responsible for something, that means you're in charge. You're the boss. If anything bad happens, it kind of might be your fault, right? And as kids get older, they're kind of considered to be more responsible. Little kids, not so much. Older kids more, and adults, well, they should be responsible. They're old enough and they should know what to do. Erie had this preposition except as well. You can open all the doors except the 13th door. That's what she was told. When we use except, we're kind of showing that this one is not part of that group. This one is special. This one we do something different. We don't do the same thing like we do with these ones. For example, you might say, oh, I like all kinds of vegetables except carrots. I like tomatoes, lettuce, cabbage, kung chin sai. I like my eggplant. I like all those vegetables. Ugh, but carrots, ugh, they smell bad. They taste weird. They're all orange. So that's out of the group of the vegetables I like. All of them except that one, not that one. All right, well, we've gotten to the end of the first day of our story. Things are interesting, but I get a feeling that things are going to go bad tomorrow.
Yes, especially since, again, she told her not to do something. Probably going to happen. So let's see what's going to happen and figure out in the next day what happens when she does open that.
Absolutely. When things go bad in a fairy tale, they get interesting. We'll see about all that tomorrow. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
One day, the Virgin Mary appeared to a woodcutter in the forest. She said,
You are poor and needy. Bring me your little girl, and I will care for her.
The woodcutter obeyed, and the Virgin Mary took the child to heaven. The girl lived a good life and grew strong. When she turned 14, the Virgin Mary called for her. She told the girl,
I'll be away for a while. You'll be responsible for these keys to the 13 doors of heaven. You can open all except the 13th door.
Hi， 大家好，我是 Stephanie。那我们今天看单字的部分，第一个单字呢是 forest， 名词森林。 Nicole owns a cabin in the forest. Nicole 在森林里拥有一个小木屋。第二个单字呢是动词 obey， 服从、听从。We should obey traffic rules. 我们应该遵守交通规则。第三个呢是 strong， 形容词，强壮的。Kelly Clarkson 有一首歌呢，曾经轰动一时。What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. 杀不死你的会让你更强大。最后一个单字呢是 except， 它是介系词，除了之外。The library is open every day except for Mondays. 除了星期一之外，图书馆每天都开放。好，接下来呢，我们要看我们今天的文法。第一个文法呢是 A appears to be。A 出现在 B 面前 ，appear 是不及物动词，它有出现、现身的意思。Disney 电影里面的小美人鱼 Ariel 就是出现在岸边和王子相遇的。我们一起看例句 ：Ariel appeared to the prince by the shore. Ariel 在岸边出现在王子的面前。第二个重点呢是 A cares for B，A 照顾 B，care 是动词，保护、照顾。Marie cared for the baby when his parents had to go to work. 婴儿的父母去上班时，由 Marie 照顾他。除了照顾的意思之外呢 ，care for 也可以指喜欢、喜爱，对某人有情愫。那我们最后一个文法重点呢是 somebody is responsible for something， 某人负责某件事情。形容词 responsible 是负责的意思。这边呢补充一下，它的名词是 responsibility。好，我们来听听这个片语的句子。The lifeguard is responsible for the safety of the swimmers. 救生人员负责游泳的人的安全。好，那我们的讲解就到这里。See you.
Hi guys, I'm Oliver.
And I'm Nina.
And today we're going to play a game called Word Drop. Basically, we're going to have a conversation and we have some words on these cards that we're going to have to work into the conversation. But neither of us know what they are.
Yeah.
Okay, so I suppose I'll go first, shall I?
Yes.
All right, ready? And all right, so this morning I woke up and I was feeling, a little bit groggy, as you often do when you wake up. And I thought to myself, I'll go and have a coffee. And I had a coffee and it was particularly strong. And it woke me up.
Okay. Well, it's interesting that you have coffee in the morning because growing up, I had to do what I was told, and my parents always made sure that I wasn't allowed to have coffee, and so I had to obey them.
Sure. Well, I do drink coffee now. It's just that in the past, I actually didn't drink very much coffee because I'm not actually a huge fan of coffee.
Yeah.
Although I think it's delicious, I think that it's probably not the healthiest thing for you. So I won't usually drink it I won't usually drink it except when I'm feeling a little tired.
A little tired, okay. Speaking of being tired, the other day, I was on this trip with a friend and we went just around Taiwan, and the funniest thing happened. He lost his phone, and so we got lost in the middle of the forest, and it was exhausting.
Oh. That sounds really scary and exhausting. I think that hiking in Taiwan is something that you can do and enjoy, but it appears to be something that you have to do with the proper preparation, permits and organization. And if that happens, I think it's okay.
Yes, I definitely think that it's very important to have all the right permits and the right people, and make sure people know where you are. Just in case something happens, someone has to be responsible for it.
Someone has to be responsible.
See you next time.